Hey everyone, welcome to Pendulum Friday. Thank you so much for being here at Soulprint. Okay, so we've got some really interesting questions today, so I'm just going to try to get at it. Before I do, um, for those of you who maybe not listening to or don't know of, there's a YouTube channel and it's hashtag Resistance Live. The person who hosts it she goes by EMC. She's very, very knowledgeable. She used to be a lawyer. She's been an activist for a really long time. Um, she can be a little stringent every once in a while, but he really has sort of her finger on the pulse, if you will, and she's got a lot of really good information about not only what's going on within the government with lawsuits and that kind of thing, but um, what can be done and what's going on. So there are times that what she says is a little concerning, but there are also times that what she says can be very, very helpful. Very often they're the same thing in the same sort of half hour video that she does. It would be helpful for a lot of you who maybe are not watching her to just check her out, see if it's something you would like to watch. The reason I'm saying that is because she's balanced, right? And so even though there's some really crazy, scary stuff going on, she's also, and she doesn't shy away from it, but she's also, good about kind of giving you the good news. So one of the things that she talked about on her Thursday video was that typically senators, I think it is, typically would receive about 440 phone calls an hour. That was sort of the typical number. They currently are receiving 1,600 an hour. So when I'm saying, or other people are saying, get on the phone them, leave messages, send them messages, whatever it takes. The reason that we keep saying that is because they're getting the message. It works. And yes, sometimes you can't get through, and sometimes their phone mail is, their voicemail is full. But one of the things that she said today was if you can't get through to their sort of Washington office, call their local office. Do what you can because it is having an impact. And right now, the thing is that with everything that's going on, and it's so crazy, and EM seems to have a whole lot of power in a whole lot of places. Resistance is going to be what it takes. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. Instead of thinking about what you're doing as resistance, think about it as activization. Okay, you are actively moving forward. You are shifting and changing the energy. The other thing I want to just talk about really briefly is energy. Okay, and we know this. We've gone through this, right? Like attracts like. Energy does not have an actual opinion about whether it is positive or negative. It simply is energy. And so it's really important. The more crazy things get, frankly, the more important it is to do what you need to do to keep your energy high. I don't know. Crank up the radio, put on, I don't know, old time rock and roll and dance around your living room. Watch funny movies, do whatever you can because all of that stuff creates light. And that's what you push back against the darkness with. Okay. So don't give up. This is not going to be quick thing. And if any of you are thinking that, somehow miraculously something's going to just transpire and make it all go away, it's not going to. It's going to take a tremendous amount of energy and activism and focus and attention to try to reverse some of this. And at the very least, right now where everything is so chaotic, to simply slow it down. So that part of what's going on is there's so much going on so fast, you don't even know where to look. And sometimes some of the stuff is going on so fast that there isn't even time for, legal options to be enacted or recognized. Apparently, since Trump's inauguration, there have been 35 lawsuits that have already been filed against him, the administration, etc. So that's going to slow things down. You know what? If there's one thing that Trump taught us over the last 4 years, it's that if you slow down something enough, you can win, whether you should or not. Okay? Let's get cracking here. Okay, first question has to do with the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford. So apparently Doug Ford had a hot mic moment when he told a group of people that he was glad Trump won until Trump turned on him and cost him the election. Okay, he hasn't been elected yet. The Ontario election hasn't happened yet. But so the question is that statement going to impact? It's hard to know. Right now, the latest thing I've heard out of there is that he is still planning on ripping up the $100 million contract or whatever it was with Elon Musk that the, I guess, province of Ontario had. So let's see. Is Doug Ford's hot mic moment going to negatively impact his chances of re-election? Okay, good to know. Did Muskrat and different countries interfere with the 2024 election? Yes. Is there proof of the interference? Okay, that's a yes. The next question this person asks is, will it come out? I'm going to ask a question before that. Has a lot of that proof or evidence been destroyed or damaged? I was afraid of that. Yes. Will some of it come out? Yes. Will these people be punished for it? Hey, listen, there is not going to be a white knight that comes and saves you, us, the world. This is why. Where you would normally expect pushback, Department of Justice, the FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, all of those agencies are now under the purview of Donald Trump. That Pam Bondi, who is now the country's new attorney general, she's it, she's the head honcho, has sent out a memo basically saying, paraphrasing, but basically saying, listen, all of you lawyers that work for the Department of Justice, you are now Trump's lawyers. You are here to enact his agenda. That's not the way it's supposed to be, right? The Department of Justice is supposed to be the people's lawyers, the people's law firm. Who's going to step in and tell Pam Bondi that she can't do that? You got to have some really, some people with really stiff spines and a whole lot else to be able to go after this. So it's really important that you sort of start to recognize that the normal avenues that you would expect or anticipate to step in and stop some of this incredibly blatant illegal stuff, it's not going to happen unless some people really, really start pushing back against the current administration. And 3 weeks in, there's no evidence of that, or very little evidence. Where you're going to see some progress is going to be through the actual court system. So it's going to be law firms, legal, lawyers that start filing these law suits that actually start to slow things down and start to get things reversed. The next question then is, would they actually listen to the court's rulings? That's, I think, still up in the air, honestly. If an agency or country has proof that our election was interfered with, will they step up to help our country? Okay, that's a really, really little yes. It's gaining strength, but again, one of the things that the United States is known for is its very large, very powerful military. So other countries are going to be very careful about basically going after Trump, okay? Because everybody knows he lives to retaliate. Will the Republicans tamper with the midterm elections to affect the outcome? All right, again, a small yes, very little movement here. And I think part of the reason for that is it's early days. I mean, he's only been in office for 3 weeks. Listen, they're going to try. All right. Absolutely. They're going to try. It's a matter of whether or not they get away with it, whether or not there's enough legal action, there is enough pushback from all you Americans that will sort of block some of this tampering like behavior. A lot of the reasons that governments are able to get away with what they get away with is because people haven't been paying attention and they haven't been responding and reacting. And now's the time. Now's the time. Will Trump try to take away Democratic votes in the midterms? Again, kind of far down the road. To see what that looks like. So there's a non-answer right now. It's just too early to see if it's actually going to happen versus is that what they're thinking about? Is that what they're talking about? Is that a concern? Okay. Will the US even have midterm elections that would be 2026? Yes. One of the things that you're starting to see is that Democrats have actually decided, oh my God, we located our backbone. And they're actually starting to push back. And so the more support they have from the citizens of America to keep on pushing hard against what's going on, the better the potential outcomes are going to be. Will Republicans ever say enough is enough with Trump and find their backbone to reject his demands? Okay, will they ever? How about let's rephrase that to, can we anticipate that in the next year, Republicans will stop some of the most outrageous demands? Okay, so right now that's a yes. This is a thing until the midterms or something else shifts. It only takes, I think, 3 Republicans to side with the Democrats in the Senate to move things around. Same with the House. It's not a big number. Okay, so you can't give up hope. Like you can't, but you have to stay active. Will Musk be arrested by April 15th? No. How about July 15th? It's kind of like a little no, maybe a little yes, kind of not an answer right now. Again, who's going to arrest him? Apparently, EMC on Resistance Live was talking today on Thursday about, some of his little flunkies who were trying to get into this a skiff, and they weren't being allowed in. And eventually they got frustrated and they called Elon Musk, and Elon Musk said he got a hold of them and he said, I'm just going to have U.S. Marshals come and arrest you. And they backed down. The people who were guarding the skiff backed down. We would have hoped would have happened would have been they would have said, go ahead, send the U.S. Marshals here to arrest us when we are simply trying to ensure the security of a skiff. But, it's easy to say be strong if it's not, your life, your job, your security on the line. All right. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to really, really have to step up. Are some of our top military generals meeting in private to stop F-45? I think I like that one the best. F-45, Felon 45. Are there military conversations that are going on where they're going to try to just slow down? Yes. But again, the people who are overseeing the Army, the Navy, they're Trump's people. Is Trump going to get arrested? As of right now, that's a no. Again, who's going to arrest him? Will our money in banks be safe? Okay. So as I'm sure you know, we have it in Canada, you have it in the United States. I'm sure other countries have it, where there's sort of an agency, if you will, that is set up that guarantees your money in banking institutions, up to a certain dollar amount per account. And so people have never actually lost funds as a result of that. Is money going to be safe in banks as of right now? If you are one of those people who is fortunate enough to have significant assets, significant money, perhaps you have trust funds or something like that, make sure that you know what the maximum is that will be insured, and make sure that you're better off to have 5 accounts with that maximum than 2 accounts that go over the maximum, because should something happen and the banks fail, you're only going to be protected up to a certain amount. And speaking of which, there are, I was told, and I actually looked it up, there are actually American banks here in Canada, and there are some Canadian banks in America. So there is some, but it's not, I don't believe that it's sort of the basic, bank that you and I would go to. From what I understand, generally they're set up for investment purposes, that kind of thing. But in fact, there are cross-border banks, and I suspect there actually are cross-country banks, right? Are our military personnel being brainwashed by propaganda news stations on military bases? Okay, right now that's a no. Again, something that's going to need to be paid attention to, right? Because at some point, if people that, are in high places figure out that there's things being said or information being passed around that isn't in their favor, is something going to be done to protect the Treasury and all the programs and the citizens from EM and his little band of Nazi boys? I like that. Okay, so again, as of Thursday morning, there was I'm going to get it wrong. A judge stepped in and said, stop. And I believe that there's going to be a hearing, something's going to happen where they're going to sort of figure out if it can be permanently stopped or what goes on there. So something's being done, but again, this is being done through legal maneuvers, okay? It's not the Department of Justice. It is lawyers for, big organizations, whether it is the, I can't speak to this intelligently because I don't know, but there's big organizations that are out to protect you, whether it is the senior citizens organizations or it's different, whatever. They are going to be the ones who, if anything truly effectively can be done to slow things down and stop it, that's where it's coming from, okay? It's going to be coming from big people who have vested interest or big organizations and their lawyers, all right? Was the whole tariff thing designed to distract us from what EM is doing? This would be about the Treasury. This is the problem with that question. It's very, very black and white. Is it this to do that? There was a whole bunch of reasons for the tariff thing. Some of it was Trump just wanting to beat his chest. Some of it was he wanted to look powerful. He didn't get anything that wasn't already in place, but if you didn't know that those things were already in place, it looked like he won. And that's, he's all about the illusion. He's all about the picture, right? And so that was part of it. And part of it, yes, was about distracting from some of the really frightening stuff that's going on in terms of agencies being, brought under control in ways that they're not intended to. Apparently, one of the latest things is that Marco Rubio apparently has just now decided that he is in charge of the National Archives. What do you think is going to happen with everything that the National Archives has if it's not flattering to 45, the Heritage Society, et cetera, et cetera? Will Social Security payments or Medicare be in jeopardy because of EM's Nazi boys in the Treasury Department? Okay. It's right now, it's in jeopardy. Okay, so that's a yes. Let's ask this. Let's ask it this way. Social Security payments or Medicare, are people going to actually feel an impact of this? Like literally, are Social Security payments not going to be dispersed? Let's ask it that way. Okay, as of right now, no. So as of, and a very powerful no. Okay, so as of right now, things are still, I don't even want to use the word safe, but they're still protected, I guess. All these outrageous acts equal distraction from fascism. Is fascism the main goal? It's the word. Let's try this. It right now is the flurry of stuff that's going on that is creating distraction, but in fact is actually doing real harm. Is the goal right now to create an incredible amount of chaos? Yeah. Because when there's chaos, then all of a sudden you don't know who to believe, you don't know what to listen to, you get all of these conflicting stories. And again, for the average person who's trying to just, live their life, they don't know what the hell to believe. So then they don't believe anything, right? The SAVE Act would disenfranchise millions of American voters. It would require documentation that most Americans do not have. will the SAVE Act pass? Okay, no, as of right now. Um, Again, get a hold of your reps and tell them this is insane. Particularly if you are in a red state and you have a large population of people that are going to be disenfranchised, reach out. Let your government officials know this is not acceptable to me. Not going to happen. Don't do this. Vote against it. Will Republicans get rid of voting rolls and make people sign up again so they can get rid of who they want? Okay, so will Republicans be able to get rid of voting rolls? As of right now, no. Be mindful that because something's no now, it doesn't mean that in 5 months or 6 months or 10 months, that energy isn't going to shift and change. Before leaving office, did the Biden administration hand over proof of election tampering to NATO? I'm getting a yes. Is F-45 in charge of his administration, or is the Federalist Society calling the shots? Okay, so it's Trump currently in charge of the administration, of his administration. Yes. Wait for it. Is the Federalist Society calling the shots? Yes. Those two are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they're hand in hand. The Federalist Society is telling him what he needs to think and believe and do, and that's what he does because he doesn't have his own philosophy, his own understanding, his own independent thoughts. Speaking of which, I don't know if you heard this, it came up on one of my feeds today. Apparently, the Federalist Society is going after Prince Harry because he admitted in his book that he had used cocaine. And so now they're trying to figure out if he lied on his paperwork, because even though that wouldn't necessarily deny him whatever it is he's looking for to get from the United States, it would sort of basically mean that he somehow got preferential treatment. So the Federalist Society seems to have their fingers into all kinds of like really, really insane stuff. Will the military and or other agencies that Trump is over rebel and reject his directions? It's too broad a question. I'm going to see if we can, as Trump's demands become more outrageous, are we going to see more people from those agencies rebelling and rejecting his directions? Okay, yes. Again, it's up to everybody else. It's up to you guys to make sure that your representatives in government, and that includes state and city, et cetera, understand that you have their backs. You want this to happen. You want them to push back. Because nobody's going to push back like that if they don't feel like they're somehow going to be like protected. If it is left up to to us, the people of the United States, frankly, people of the world, to save democracy, Will there be anything left of it by the time enough of us get on board? Yes. Yeah. This is what's happening is they're pushing so hard and so fast that they're ruffling feathers, and the feathers that they're ruffling are the legal system. It's the judges, it's the courts. And so that's where there's going to be this slowing down mechanism or this delaying thing. And the more that happens, the more people are going to start to pay attention. Are there things going on behind the scenes that are working to get EM and 45 out now? All right, we've got a yes there, but I caution you, who's going to actually walk him out of the Oval Office? And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here today, but I want everybody to start to recognize, and this goes around the world where where Musk is getting into everybody's pie, basically. Once a government ends up in a position like the United States government is in right now, it's about what the people demand. Because the people in positions of power with, frankly, nefarious intentions, they control the power centers. And so the only way to pull that power back from them is for people to realize that they just can't ignore it. They have to let the people who have the power, such as your government reps, that this is not acceptable. Okay? Please do not listen. There is protection. Okay, there's divine protection. There's protection from other flipping galaxies. There's all of this stuff coming. But when it comes right down to it, by and large, it is the people who will move things forward in a way so that this other energy can come in and support and help. All right? What is that expression? God helps those who help themselves. The time of sitting back and thinking it'll all work out, it's gone. It's behind us now. Was the real reason F-45 called off the tariffs was that the stock market was crashing? Okay, that was part of it. You can't narrow it down, I'm sorry, to one thing. So yes, that was part of it. Part of it was he needed to save face. Part of it was he wanted to stir up a lot of trouble and energy. He was flexing his muscles, and that's and listen. We're 2 days after the 4th or 3 days after the 4th. What does that mean? 26 days from now, there could be another go around of this. So there you have it. Is world domination the plan of Felon 45 or Musk? Yeah, I've said this. You have people now who are in positions of power or are able to pull the levers of power who want to be emperors. Okay? Yeah. 45 is scheduled to attend the Super Bowl on Sunday. Who knew? Will he be booed? Oh, yes, he will. Oh, my goodness, yes, he will. Be interesting to see what the reaction to that is. Will EM be stopped? Okay. he's going to be stopped in some things. He's going to be slowed down in other things, and in some things he's not going to be. And then it's going to be a matter of somehow going in behind him and trying to fix the damage. All right. This has gone on really long, and I don't want it to, but I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to be recording a video with Kathy Beal from Professional Aquarium this coming week. But one of the things, and I'm sure she's going to be able to bring us some clarity on this, but one of the things that we need to remember and understand about this age of Aquarius is that first it needs to tear stuff down so that it can rebuild it in a way and a manner that is a more accurate reflection of where the energy is going, where it's meant to be, where it's destined to go. So it's important that while we understand that it feels like just everything is being, grabbed off the shelves and shattered, it's important to recognize that there was a lot of areas where there should have been streamlining. There should have been reevaluations done. Not the way it's being done, I think, was what most people would have preferred, but we were warned, and we have been warned, that the age of Aquarius is not about sunshine and, balloons. It's about destructing that which no longer works and replacing it with that which will. So to some degree, a certain amount of things not staying the same, that they're not going to be the way they were, and they're not going back to the way they were. It's time for a new energy. And sometimes that new energy doesn't have space to fill until some of the old energy is pushed out of the way. By and large, part of that is going to be getting rid of the dinosaurs who have been, greedily hoarding that power and that energy. But it's hard to know right now how much destruction it's going to take and where it's going to be. This is the difference, okay? It's not that anybody thought things should just carry on the way they were, because there was all kinds of reasons to understand that a lot of things weren't working. The difference is that it wasn't about hurting and damaging the people. It was about dealing with, and the protocols, the agencies, the belief, the structures. What's going on now is an attack on the people. And that's where all the fear comes from. It's not that we don't want change. It's that we don't want change in a way that is so vicious and so evil and so cruel. That's what needs to be addressed. For those of you who can hear that dog barking, he just barks. And honestly, you guys, listen, I know every once in a while you hear like a voice, a secondary voice. It's Vanessa. Vanessa's at home. She has a wrist injury. And so she's been at home. And so he barks. And so she's telling him to stop barking. And so that's what you're hearing in the background. Trust me, if some divine presence comes down from the heavens and wants to say something, I'll let you know. Speaking of which, I plan on doing a more channeled message about how we manage this energy. Hopefully I can get that done, and it'll show up in the next week or so. Listen, it's Friday. It's the weekend. Go do something that brightens your energy. Do something that pulls in happy, positive energy. We need it, all of us, and we need a lot of it. So everybody go figure out what's going to boost your own personal energy and get it done this weekend, okay? Until next time, take care and be well. Remember, we're going to do something kind for yourself and somebody else. I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.